I've had a little mystery going on right now in my truck. It's a 2001 F-150, and it's been slowly, small problems here and there, but I'm slowly getting it. So I'm like looking online, this part here, it's called cruise control switch or something, pressure switch for cruise control. When you hit the brake, the cruise control shuts off. Now, the reason why I think this is the problem, but I'll explain what the problem is. Down in here, so I took out the, let me get the cord and plug it in, get up in there. So what happened was, I was, one day, I put the lights, the rear lights on this thing in the, oops, this is not that long. So I put the rear lights on this truck, backup lights, but I couldn't get the cap I built. So the cap I built here, and I just covered it with roof flashing. It's like a sealant. So I can get up there. And this is all like rubberized with a, because this is all wood, and it was like fencing, like planks. I made the top, it kind of bows. I've seen something else. One of them was kind of warped. But I ended up just finishing this. This is got it at Home Depot, and then they ran out 6-inch pieces of flashing. It's a rubberized flashing. It's peeled off and it sticks to the roof. So I just finished that, and now it's sealed. But before, I had put this light on. This is the brake light, and this is a backup light, and this is the camera. So when I'm hooking up my trailer that I just redid, and the dog is rubbing his butt on the fence. So I can line up the trailer, which is a good idea. It works. But I was having some issues, and I redid the wiring down here and got it all wired up. So this is how it works. So this is all wired up, and I checked everything. Nothing's rubbing. I got them hooked up to the lights in here. Ran it through the hole there, one for each side. The brake lights, and every time the turn signal goes off, this thing flashes. And when you back up, this thing lights up the whole area. But I got all that done because I want to be able to tow that trailer out there, because I just finished the trailer. Now I finished the back end, but my truck seemed to have an issue. So every time, all of a sudden, it just started out of blue. When I put the key in the ignition, and it starts right up, everything works, the brake lights, everything works, and it wouldn't go into gear, okay? And I looked at the solenoid up in here that, when you do, I didn't take it off, and I took the circuit box, the breaker box out, and the GEM modules attached to it, and you have I'm not going to show you how I took it out. Well, sort of I am going to, but if you look, these are on the back of the OEM, GEM, or whatever it's called. And this, I don't know what the heck that was attached to the box, but nothing was plugged into it. So what you have here, a 10 millimeter, I don't know if this is picking up on the camera or not, 10 millimeter, and you just keep cranking it, and it gets tight, and you think you can just pull it off with your hand, but no, you keep turning the bolt, and it actually forces the plug out. And then you have this plug that's plugged into this side, and you got this one, but I don't know what this is plugged into, but it doesn't go into anything. So these plugs are supposed to go into the GEM module, and that's that piece in here. And I just had to take all this out. Well, I thought it was that was causing it. I looked, so I took it apart, because this is the pain in the ass getting on my hand and knees because I'm disabled, got back problems. So we'll run in here real quick to the shop. Alright, so when I took this out, module, there's a plug right here, okay? That's the gray plug that plugs in here. There's two of them, and this plugs in right here, and it gets screwed on there. So I took this apart. If you take your thumbs, I don't know if it's coming up. You can pull this out. So I looked it over. I can't get it out, but I didn't see no water damage at all. There's no water damage or nothing. I didn't see any shorts or anything. So it looked brand new almost. I'm looking in the back. I don't see any water damage or anything. So I snapped this back together. And then this is the fuse box. So I thought, well, maybe there was some wire in here tripping something. There wasn't anything in. All the little plugs are in its place. Nothing's moved. And it kept tripping the 1, 2, 3. This, I think it was this one here. It was a 5 amp fuse, and it was the control module. It was for interlock control thing or whatever, and my windshield wipers wouldn't work, and it kept. But then, you know, I would change the fuse, and the guy on the video said change the fuse, and he changed the fuse and plugged the battery back in, and it worked. But the next day I went out to move the truck, and it wouldn't work. I'm like, the only thing I couldn't figure it out what the hell was going on. So I pulled all this out, checking it, you know. I don't see anything, corrosion or water damage anywhere. You know, there's no damage to anything. So I'm like, okay, it can't be this. I mean, it could be, you know, possibly, but unlikely, because it works. Because when I reset, when I put the new fuse in and reset and reset the battery, once you connect the two terminals together, and you leave it on for a few minutes, it clears all the codes or whatever. So so I did that, and it works. So I'm like, why does it keep tripping? And the only thing I can think of, you know, when you start a car, you don't put your foot on the brake when you start it, right? But when you go to take it out of gear, take it out of park, you have to put your foot on the brake. And every time I put my foot on the brake, it was tripping the fuse. Well, if I go back out here, back out to that thing that was tripping on the master cylinder, there's a pressure switch that was, let me grab this light. I don't know if this is going to help anybody, but I'm trying to explain what's wrong. Okay, when I took the plug off this switch right here, as you can see, there's oil or brake fluid all over this switch here. So I need to get some contact cleaner, CRC I think it's called, and maybe replace this thing. But I unplugged it. Now it's the morning, early this morning, and but this is only like a 17 millimeter or something like that to unscrew this. You just unscrew it. I think it's $20, and I would just clean off the connection here. But the oil was probably like a jumping over the contacts and blowing the fuse. And I'm sure that if I go, these are probably gonna work, but I think that once power is applied, it's jumping there because of the oil. I mean, it could be that the brake fluid is, how you say, it's like stepping on, in water where there's electrical wires down. You get electrocuted, shocked, so it carries current. So not a whole lot of current, but it was enough to keep tripping 5 amps. And this is what I think is the mystery being solved here, as long as I can get it all back together and test it. But what happened was, I know this is a lengthy video. I've been searching the internet and all the YouTube videos and all these things, these GM modules and all that. And I ran across this one video where they had the same exact problem as what I was going through, but they didn't have they say, oh, they just replaced the fuse in the breaker box inside, because they found it was like number 15 and it was number 15 slot, and that kept blowing, but they didn't say what was causing it. And then I read down in the comments like, well, maybe somebody had a problem and they fixed it. Well, they came back. I guess the customer brought the truck back, and it was doing the same thing. It blew the fuse, and they found out that it was this switch here that was causing the problem. And then after I saw that video, I came out here, and this plug was all full of oil and this brake fluid, and it's like the pressure. It has a massive leak in it, which is causing it to short out. So this switch is bad. I think they're about $20. So I think it's called I can't remember what it's called. But it's right on the master cylinder. It's a pressure switch to turn off this cruise control, is what it was for. When you got your cruise control, and if your cruise control don't work, check that thing out right there, because that's what, when you press your brake, it's a pressure switch. When you press, it pushes up on like a button or something inside there. They push up on there, and it shuts off the cruise control. But it also turns off the power solenoid in your steering column, so you can't shift it out of park. So, and the only way is that part. I got the part in the car. I just got the fuse box back in. Switch 6350. But it's a replacement switch. This is the replacement switch. Screws in there. You press the brake, that pressure, the brake fluid pressurizes in here and cuts off the cruise control. But it also affects when you press the brake. It does some other sends signals to the GEM module, which is that thing I replaced or looked at. So that's where we're at.